Hey everyone, it's Mike from Orderflows, and I'm shooting this quick video because I want to answer this question that I tend to get. Sort of a recurring question is, why should I add order flow analysis to my trading? And the way I like to describe it is, order flow is a tool. Okay, it's not a red light, green light trading system, as some people have you believe. And and as a tool, it's going to help you as a trader. Now think of it like a doctor. Doctor has tools, and they use the tools to diagnose the condition of a patient. And once a doctor understands the condition of the patient, then he knows how to proceed treating him. And it's the same way. You use the order flow tools to diagnose the condition of the market. And once you diagnose the market, then you're going to know how to approach the market. And one thing to keep in mind, conditions in the market, they change constantly. Supply and demand, the whole reason for the markets existing are always battling against each other. And change is inevitable. So it's going to be important to be able to have tools that are going to identify when change is occurring. And when this change often occurs is when you get market moves. Now, before I begin, let me just go over a brief disclaimer. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only, should not be considered a solicitation to buy or sell a futures contract or make any other type of investment decision. Futures trading contains substantial risk and it's not for every investor. An investor could potentially lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so one of the tools that we developed and released in our Orderflows Trader 2.0, which is available for NinjaTrader 7 and 8. We recently went back and reprogrammed NinjaTrader 7 to add it in there. It wasn't in there before because we were doing our developments on NinjaTrader 8, but there was people asking for NinjaTrader. They're stuck on NinjaTrader 7 because they got a ton of indicators that haven't been ported over to NinjaTrader 8, and so that's why we went back and added it into NinjaTrader 7. So if you're in that boat, we got you covered. But one of the things that we added in there was our prominent point of control tool. And what it is, it's a combination of price action and order flow analysis. And what it does is it looks for areas, point of controls specifically, that act as support or resistance, based on, I said, like the combination price action and order flow. And it will highlight it aqua. Well, my settings are aqua, and then for buy, or for support rather, and magenta for resistance, for areas to get short. And you can see here, this is just this morning here in the crude oil, around 7:50, just before 8 o'clock. You came into the swing low, 69.95. You got a prominent point of control. Market rallies up here to to the 30s, almost up to 40. Comes off a bit, you hit another prominent point of control, market rallies back up again. This is another indicator we added in here. This is the multiple imbalances. Then it came up here, from this prominent point of control, rallied up here to another prominent point of control, and it gave a nice sell signal from the 70.40 area all the way down, back down to the 70.10 area. Now it's interesting because sometimes people are always trying to predict the market. Well, tell me where the market's going. Well, order flow is not going to help you predict the market. It's going to tell you what's happening in the market right now, so you can make the best possible decision based on what's happening right now. You got to trade in the present. You're not trading in the future. You don't have a time machine that you go into the future, then come back and say, oh yeah, see, it predicted it there. But let me just take a look here at I had an 8 range chart in the minis and it disappeared here. Here we are, E-minis. Again, this is this morning here. Right up here at the high, you had a divergence. You had the prominent point of control, which is is a setup that I talk about a lot. To users of my software, look for these setups, and you can see how it sells off right from the high. Now again, I'm not trying to predict the high. I'm letting the market tell me, hey, a high is being made here, and then we're selling off from the 28.19, 28.20 area all the way down to down to the 13-ish area. You ran into some support down here. You pop up to an area right where you had some resistance from earlier with the prominent point of control. Then you came right back down, breaking through this resistance. You got a strong selling imbalance, stack selling imbalance. But then you got another support area down here. You got your prominent point of control. You got a bullish ratio. And notice how the market is starting to rally back up. Now, It's interesting because, like for example, this is NASDAQ. I haven't looked at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, you're getting some very good moves in here. This is a 1-minute chart, by the way, on the NASDAQ. Yeah, nothing today, but I'll just show you, like last week, I don't remember what day. Let's go through here. It was just picking some doozies. I don't think it was this day. I think it was the day before that. Like every major move. Now again, nothing is going to predict the market or give you accurate diagnosis. If that's the term, 100% of the time. You'd like 100% accuracy, but you know what? There's just so much going on in the markets at any given moment that especially now with President Trump, it's hard to. I mean, really, the news cycles, something comes out that then, a day later you're not talking about it. You're talking about something else, and the markets are the same way. But let me just find the day. I apologize here, but I forgot what day it was. I'm not trying to cherry pick it, but I mean it's just one of those things where it's just super uncanny. Like this, I don't know what day this is, but I think this was Wednesday. You got a supportive point of control here. Market rallies up to a resistant point of control there, sells off. This one, you get a little rally over the next bar to, these, you rally right back. Where do you rally back up to? You have your prominent point of control here. You rally back up right to that level, sell off, then boom, you get another prominent point of control. What happens? The market puts in a nice rally. This one doesn't work. This one fails. This one, what do? You rally right back up to that area. You sell off again. This one fails. Then you get this nice, beautiful one, Divergence, and your prominent point of control. You're trading 74.83, 74.82, and you sell off down into the 74.70s. Down in here, you rally back up. I would think this was the day, but it happens. And this was the day that the Facebook got slapped here. That's where you got that one big bar down here from 75.25 down to 74.80. That's what day was that Facebook got spanked on? I think it was Wednesday. Even in the after hours. Again, I'm not a big advocate of trading NASDAQ in the after hours, but when you have some big news coming out like that, you tend to get a lot of movement in the after hours. This was the day after. This was the reopen after the Facebook thing. You got your Divergence, you got your prominent point of control, and look, 74.26. It just gets spanked all the way down to the mid 74.00s. But it's one of those things where you need tools. I mean, can you do this analysis yourself? Yeah, probably, if you know what to look for. But I'll be honest, most people don't know what to look for when they're looking at order flow. And, there's a lot of, quote, order flow tools out there. And honestly, a lot of them are very, very confusing. I look at them and they confuse the heck out of me. And, and I understand order flow pretty good, I like to think. But I see some of these tools and it's just like, there's so many extra numbers. It's one thing you're dealing with, volume footprint chart with a lot of numbers, but then they start adding, you got like some, bars got like 5 different numbers on top and another 5 below it. And honestly, it just confuses me the more, it's not one of these things, the more shit you throw at the wall and hope something sticks. Basically what you're doing with that is, is you're taking the whole concept from, indicator trading is like the more indicators you have on your chart, the better trader you're going to be. No, it's not like that. It's not like the more numbers you got floating around on your chart, the better trader you're going to be. No, it's, having effective tools on your chart is going to help you as a trader. And, that's why we develop these tools is to help traders, help traders make better decisions. So, hopefully by now you can see how this tools that we develop are pretty good. Here this on the next day, you sort of ran into the, resistance into support. Earlier you ran into resistance into support a couple of times as well. this is where the cash close. That's why the cash close on stock indices, that's where the most volume of the day is going to be generally. Everyone's trying to peg their, all the funds are trying to peg their portfolio to the close of equities. But it's just uncanny, like here, boom, 730. You get this nice buy signal. I mean, look at this, how it just rallies up there. Again, not every signal is going to be perfect, like textbook example like this. You're going to get some that, a bar or two later, you get stopped out. Like this, this bar right on the cash open. Look at this, 830. It came right back up here. Mark, you hit your prominent point of control. You got some resistance up here. You sell off. Next bar opens up. You sell. You're going back and forth. You rally back up, but you got a resistance level up here. If you're smart, you're going to throw in an offer up around here with a stop. Just behind it. Up here a little higher. And look at that. You could have caught this move. Now NASDAQ is not one where you could have a very tight stop because it's extremely volatile. It just jumps all over the place. But look at that. 74. Even if you just caught this one bar, I'm not talking about catch the rest of the bars following it. If you just caught this one bar here, you're short around 55. And then you're covering the next bar at 50. That's 5 full points. But look at that move. That was a nice dramatic move. And it's not something that occurs, every other bar, or, sometimes you get a couple of signals a day, which, as a trader, you don't necessarily want to be over trading and taking so many trades. That's one of the problems that, sometimes traders face is I don't want to say over trading, but they're taking a lot of signals because, they need action because they don't have necessarily a proper trading plan. And then they end up giving back a lot of their profits. Again, here, yeah, you rally back, if you got short in this bar and you didn't cover it down here, 5 points later, the market did stop you out before going back down. It's just, where do you place your stop? It depends on you and your trading plan. How much risk are you willing to take per trade? Some people have wider risks and some people don't. And this is the PM session here, the 29th, which was Friday. This is fast forwarded to the day session. I don't usually like to trade around the the 7:30 time. That's when you get a lot of numbers being released. And honestly, for NASDAQ, it's something you should stick to around the cash hours, preferably. After the numbers at 7:30, so 8. But then, obviously, there's a big difference once the cash opens, and you can see how the volume just jumps. Here, prior to cash, you're trading, it's on a minute-based chart, you're trading 100, maybe some bars you got a couple hundred, 300, 400. But after cash opens, you're trading in the thousands, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, and so on. And you can see, some of these bars, you get big movements, right? With on 1 minute chart. From 72.10 all the way up to 72.20. So that takes us to today. So this morning, nothing in the NASDAQ showing. Now, just really quick here in the bonds, just this morning, here you had your ratio divergence, and it sold off a little bit. Came down to a support area, rallied back up to a resistance area, came down into the support. You came down in here to a support area, you got a nice little move up. Came off a couple ticks here. You got your supportive buying going on right there. Let's take a look at bonds. Similar thing in the bonds. It's just going back and forth like that. Here this morning, 3 o'clock, you have this swing high here, prominent point of control, 162.44. Where does it rally back up to? You notice, where does it rally back up to? It rallies back up to 44 each time, once, twice, before selling off to the lows at 24. Here's your divergence and your prominent point of control. You rally from 26, 27, all the way up to 36, 37, where you got another prominent point of control. So, again, it's not about trying to it's not about trying to predict highs or lows, but rather you can find the highs or lows when the market is telling you, hey, you know what, based on the order flow, we're putting in a low or we're putting in a high. So that's how you use the tools of order flow. Some people say, well, you don't teach anything on these videos. Well, these videos are created for the users of my software, so they can better understand how to use it. If you don't have my software, maybe this video doesn't provide you much value, but hopefully you'll get some value out of it. Look at this. Here you got your divergence. This is right after the open. Your divergence, your prominent point of control, you sell off. Again, from the 46 area all the way down to the 26 area. You rally up from a prominent point of control to another prominent point of control, and you sell off again. That's why I talk about having easy to use set of tools. I've seen literally, I see some people's order flow quote tools that they use, and it's literally like they're throwing everything, the kitchen sink at you, basically trying to give you 10 different things to look at, that when one of them is right, they'll say, well, you see, if you looked at that indicator, I could put like 5 different numbers up here, and one of them will be right, and I'll then say, well, see, that number was right. Well, what's the whole point of it? It's like when I was younger, I used to go to the racetrack, and they'd sell the guys out there selling tip sheets, okay, and they'd give you like 3 or 4 or 5 horses in each race, and then there's only like 8 or 9 horses in a race, and when one of them wins, the next day they'll have their sheet from yesterday out there with all the winners circled. Well, if you're giving me 60% of the horses per race on your tip sheet, I expect you to have a very high winning percentage, because you got 5 horses to choose from, and it's sort of misleading in the sense that you got a tip sheet with listing 5 horses per race, and then the next day you come out and say, well, you see, I had the winner of the race. Well, you also had 4 losers in the race, and if your odds, if the horse was only 2 to 1 that won, I would have lost money on the race. But it reminds me of the way that these people run it sometimes. Like, I'm going to give you a bunch of different indicators, and when it's right, when one is right, I'm going to claim I predicted it by using the indicator. Well, you could see here, like I said, nothing is certain. Nothing is going to ever be 100%. We all like dealing in certainty, and no one can guarantee the correct analysis of the market. But the better your tools are, the better decisions you're going to make. And anyone that tries to, I see these forex guys saying, oh, I got 98% winners. This is me. I'm carrying a briefcase full of cash. I mean, first of all, why would you carry a briefcase full of cash? But that's not realistic. Trust me, I've known big traders all my life, and they don't walk around with briefcases full of cash. They do carry cash. Some of them carry nice wads, so to speak, but that's about it. So anyway, if you found this helpful, great. If you didn't, whatever. But again, I do these presentations to to help the people of my software, people that use my software, understand how to use it and make better trading decisions. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.